All right, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Good. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Billy Ottensmeyer. I am a staff attorney at the Indiana Department of Education. It's just after 11 a.m. on Monday, November 17th, 2025. As such, we will begin today's public hearing, which is being held pursuant to Indiana Code 4-22-2-26 for the purpose of accepting the public's comments regarding LSA document number 25-370, the board's proposed rule regarding the addition of Rule 511 IC 6.2-12 concerning Indiana's new school accountability formula. Notice of this hearing was published on October 15th, 2025 in the Indiana Register. Because the purpose of today's hearing is to hear from the public, the department's staff, me, will not be answering questions at this time. It's important to note that every comment we receive today, including those submitted in writing, will be provided to the board for the board's consideration. During the first public comment period, the board received comments via jot form, email, letters dropped off in person, as well as spoken comments during the public hearing, and the board accepted and considered all comments received during the first public comment period, and will also be accepting and considering all comments received during the second public comment period. Only those planning on making a public comment on LSA 25-370 need to sign in. Those who comment will be given 5 minutes to comment. In the interest of everyone's time, a 5-minute time limit will be enforced. When your time's up, you'll hear an alarm go off and you'll be instructed to stop. Also, I'll be asking everyone to start their comment by stating their name and spelling it out so that our stenographer has an accurate record of who is making comments. If time runs out before you're finished speaking, please feel free to submit your comments via jot form, or you can email them to me anytime today. If you have written comments or written copies of a statement that you're planning on making today, please also provide us with a copy of that, as that'll be helpful for our records as well. What I'll do, looks like we have 6 speakers today, so I'll just call up who's first, and then I'll sort of like baseball, say who's on deck. So first up, we have Stacy, and on deck is Stephen.
Hey, good morning. Do I need to, is this better for you? Stacy, S-T-A-C-Y, Kurdelak, K-U-R-D-E-L-A-K, from the Indiana State Teachers Association. ISTA would like to thank you for the work taken up by the State Board of Education, the department, and Dr. Jenner for the ongoing efforts around revamping Indiana's state accountability framework. Our association and our members appreciate the opportunity to share insights into the new model as we approach the final adoption. ISTA sincerely appreciates some of the efforts in the proposed model, including the focus on individual student growth, the shift towards multiple measures rather than a single snapshot test score. This allows all students to demonstrate learning successes. ISTA does continue to oppose, as the association always has, the A to F letter grade system that labels schools and can lead to punitive impacts on students, educators, and communities. However, we do understand that this piece is required by statute. Moving forward, ISTA also wishes to highlight some additional measures that could be included in the accountability GPS dashboard framework. First, professional accountability factors. Professional development opportunities for educators on site and during contract hours, and teacher retention outcomes at the school and district level. Ensuring that all schools have fully licensed educators in every classroom to maintain a stable learning environment for students. Reduce reliance on standardized test scores and focus more on educators' professional judgment. Teacher career ladders and retention rates. Next, resource accountability factors. Annual educator salary increases using below or above district averages as a baseline, and an adequate socioeconomic indicator to account for the variation based on demographic characteristics. This will provide greater equity for all Hoosier students. And lastly, school and climate working condition factors. appropriate class sizes, administrative feedback to educators, well-rounded curriculum opportunities for all students and extracurricular options, and student and parent engagement. ISTA has supported the existing student dashboard with locally driven metrics to showcase their successes, and we thank you for considering these multiple measures in the proposal. ISTA will continue to work with the department and state board on behalf of educators statewide to provide a system that is equitable, productive, and positive for all stakeholders, our kids, our families, our schools, and our communities. Thank you.
Next, now we have Stephen, and on deck is Katie.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Stephen Ship. I'm the headmaster of Seven Oaks Classical School, a public charter school in Ellettsville. After opening in 2016 with 160 students, K through 8, we've grown to become an award-winning K through 12 school that serves over 570 students, and consistently scores well above state averages on state and national assessments. I'm grateful for the department's work and willingness to think outside the box. At the same time, I would like to share 3 concerns and offer 3 corresponding requests. My first concern is that the state's plan will undermine the true work of K through 12 schools. Schools are academic and civic institutions first. We prepare students for the future primarily by teaching them to read well, write well, speak well, think well, and by forming their habits and character. The byproduct of this education is future success, whether at work, in the military, or in institutions of higher education. When we ask schools to also serve as workforce agencies and engines of economic development, layering on digital literacy requirements, diploma seals, and workplace experiences, we're asking them to do many things poorly instead of a few things well. We can't predict what will happen with technology and the economy. That's why, historically, schools have focused on core knowledge and foundational skills that improve students' versatility and adaptability in the face of a rapidly changing landscape. Second, the new plan metastasizes excessive testing. Campbell's Law reminds us that what gets measured gets valued, and what gets valued in an accountability system changes behavior. If we heavily grade workplace experiences, credentials, seals, and checklists, schools will reshape themselves around those metrics. Over time, you risk a kind of institutional isomorphism where even innovative charter schools begin to look and act just like every other school, and the legislative intent for choice schools withers. As a practical matter, at the school I lead, our day is already filled with learning. There's no wasted time and no surplus personnel. New programs can only come at the cost of existing programs essential to our success. Third, the new system lacks critical information needed for real stakeholder input. The current roadmap is more aspirational than transparent. As stakeholders, it's like we're being told to grade a 10-page essay based on the thesis paragraph. I've not seen clear scoring rules, baseline data, or a cost-benefit analysis. What will this mean for counselor caseloads, for teacher training time, for instructional minutes? Will small, rural, and choice schools have the staff and resources for the proliferation of new requirements? These concerns lead me to 3 corresponding requests. First, I would request room for schools to be schools. Pivot back to an accountability system that focuses on core academic achievement and growth. Consider expanding 1003 waivers to include graduation requirements and accountability metrics, and create more flexibility for innovative and high-performing schools. Or consider an alternative accountability matrix for choice schools to preserve their legislative mandate. Second, build a system that looks at data no more frequently than once every 2 years. Year-round testing with quarterly checkpoints is an impediment to high-performing schools. Greater frequency should be connected with school-specific improvement plans. Third, allow further stakeholder input once a full draft of the plan has been released, together with rigorous cost-benefit analysis that reckons with implementation costs, cost likely to fall hardest on new, small, rural, and charter schools. This project has real value, and I'm glad we're having this conversation. My plea is that we protect academic rigor, reward performance and innovation, and ultimately let schools be schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Next up, we have Katie, and on deck is Justin.
Katie Dulay, first name Katie, last name D as in dog, Ulay. Sorry, D as in dog. Oh, good. Can you hear me? Dulay. Good. Hello, my name is Katie Dulay, and I'm the executive director of Enlace Academy, a K through 8th grade IPS innovation charter school located in Indianapolis's International Marketplace District. I'm appreciative of the thoughtfulness and student-centered focus of Indiana's future accountability model. There are many strengths of this model which hold schools accountable to instill students with the knowledge, skills, and experiences for future success, alongside academic mastery. However, as I reviewed the policy more closely, there is one key inequity for multilingual learners. As written, the current model's restriction of language acquisition points to only third graders who pass iRead creates an unfair barrier for multilingual students. Growth in academic language, as measured by WIDA, should be recognized independently of iRead performance. This aligns with the state's own policy, which allows for good cause exemptions for multilingual students who have been in the state of Indiana for fewer than 2 years. Language acquisition and foundational literacy are both essential to reading proficiency and should be reflected in the accountability measures. Recognizing language growth in third grade, just as it is in other grade bands, would better align with Indiana's commitment to its student-centered success. Ensuring students are proficient readers is paramount to their success, yet the current model does not recognize that language and foundational literacy are both key factors in passing iRead. I ask that you revise the model so third grade students are recognized for language acquisition and attendance independently of iRead performance. In an increasingly globalized world, multilingualism is an asset that benefits not just Indiana's graduates, but our state's economy as a whole. Our students, schools, and communities deserve an accountability model that recognizes the hard work and value of language acquisition in all grade levels. Thank you for considering this small but crucial revision to the draft accountability model.
Thank you. Next up, we have Justin, and on deck is Carlotta.
All right. Good morning. My name is Justin Ohlemiller, Justin, Ohlemiller, Ohlemiller. I'm representing Stand for Children Indiana. The letter that I'll be reading from was signed by about 25 of our advocates and would like to be read into the record for the new draft of the ADF rule. We, the undersigned parents and community advocates, are supportive of a clear and meaningful ADF accountability system for our schools. We know that improving student achievement means growing programs and school models that are working and also being willing to close programs that are consistently failing our children. Having letter grades and a trusted system that transparently shares how our students are doing is so critical. With the current draft of the ADF rule, we are strongly supportive of the following, including a measure for 9th grade on track. The research is clear that our students are much more likely to succeed in high school if they do not have to play catch up with their credits after struggling in their first year of high school. 9th grade is even more important when you take into account Indiana's diploma seal model and the emphasis on work-based learning. Maintaining a test-based measure for students is also critical. We support the multiple measures approach, but also believe in having an objective measure like iLearn included in the system. Also ensuring that, unlike the old ADF system, test-based academic growth is not measured in a way that actually allows schools to mask low performance of students through obtaining growth bonus points that artificially inflate some school accountability grades. In terms of the area of improvement, we would ask the department to consider the following. Schools should not receive points for students who are not on track academically in the 9th grade. This is consistent with the research on this important measure. So again, the measure should be more binary. It should not award points for students that are not meeting the on-track measure. Number two, it's important that more emphasis be placed on schools helping the bottom 25% of students. We suggest adding a growth goal for students in the lowest quartile, and the schools would need to meet that quartile goal, or they would face a penalty similar to the graduation penalty included in the model. And then thirdly, we would ask the department to consider adding a component of the ADEF rule that would begin the process of gathering data now to be ready to potentially grow the ADEF accountability model to include postgraduate measures as we need to understand how this diploma seals and new system is supporting students as they graduate from high school. We are grateful to the leaders of the IDOE guiding this important work, and we're excited that the ADEF accountability model is returning to Indiana. Our children need a system that is being held to account for ensuring the delivery of an excellent education. Thank you. And this is again signed by about 24 advocates.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have Carlotta, and on deck is Katie.
Carlota,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. Carlota, C-A-R-L-O-T-A, Holder, H-O-L-D-E-R. Hello, my name is Carlota Holder. I serve as the K-12 NTSL representative, the co-founder of the Multilingual Education Reform Collective of Indianapolis, and the director of academic language at Enlace Academy. At Enlace, we serve a multilingual population of 85%, and like many of my colleagues, I appreciate the care and student-centered thinking behind the future accountability model. There's a great deal in this model that moves our state forward and holds us all responsible for preparing students with the knowledge, skills, and experiences that they need for long-term success. Right now, the model awards language acquisition points only to third graders who pass iRead, and this creates a clear inequity for multilingual students and the schools working tirelessly to support their growth. It also contradicts the development the IDOE is providing coaches and educators. On October 25th, the Literacy Cadre hosted Dr. Linda Cavazos, who has been working closely with the IDOE on meeting Indiana's iRead goals. In her presentation, Dr. Cavazos emphasized the need to analyze reading data alongside students' WIDA access scores and the WIDA rubrics. She stated clearly that language development is the entrance into reading, and highlighted that oral language is the strongest predictor of iRead success. This aligns with what many of us advocated for last year when we successfully added oral language development to HB 1499. During her coaching vignette, Dr. Cavazos reminded us that language is the key indicator, the greatest predictor of reading comprehension. She cautioned that when we rush students toward passing iRead by simply giving more phonics, we may be treating the wrong symptom. Her message was plain: we cannot expect strong readers without strong language. As she summarized, you are not going to get your expected outcomes if you don't build the language. You're going to get better outcomes when you're paying attention to the language. This is why I believe the current accountability policy is inequitable for multilingual learners. It unintentionally sends the message that students' multilingual strengths are a deficit, rather than recognizing them as the global assets that they truly are, and restricting them the appropriate time to acquire language. Research shows that the cognitive academic language proficiency takes 5 to 7 years to develop. Most multilingual learners who begin school in kindergarten are only in their 4th year of English acquisition by the time they reach 3rd grade, and that's assuming no interruptions in schooling. Expecting full academic language proficiency by 3rd grade is inconsistent with decades of research. Good cause exemptions acknowledge this reality. Currently, multilingual learners with fewer than 2 years of service in Indiana are exempt from iRead retention because they are in the earliest stages of English acquisition. Yet the accountability model does not extend the same understanding when awarding language acquisition points. WIDA language growth is just as important as iRead performance. As Dr. Cavazos stated, language is the predictor of reading comprehension. Growth on WIDA is a direct indicator of a student's progress towards reading success. Language and literacy should be treated as connected but distinct metrics. Recognizing multilingual learners' growth in 3rd grade, just as we do in the other grade bands with the current accountability model, would better align with the commitment to student-centered success and affirm language as an asset. Ensuring that students become proficient readers by the end of 3rd grade is essential, but the current model overlooks the foundational role and influence of language development in achieving that goal. I respectfully urge you to revise the model so that 3rd grade students are recognized for their language growth and their attendance independently of their iRead results. In today's global economy, multilingualism is a competitive advantage that strengthens Indiana's students, workforce, and future economic potential. Our schools and communities deserve an accountability system that recognizes the hard work and value of language acquisition at every grade level. Thank you for considering this meaningful and necessary adjustment to the draft accountability model.
Thank you. We have Katie, and on deck is Cody.
Great. Katie Dorsey, Katie, D as in dog, O-R-S as in Sam, E-Y. My name is Katie Dorsey. I'm the Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs at Heron Classical Schools, a high-performing public charter network and IPS innovation partner serving over 1,800 students here in Indianapolis. We are appreciative of the robust efforts the state has made to help schools and the community understand the new proposed accountability model. There are many layers and aspects to it. An area we would like to propose an addition is in the high school metrics. Two key proposed changes. First, the addition of an academic achievement metric for proficiency on the PSAT 11 for 11th graders. Second, the addition of a growth metric for students who meet or exceed expected growth from the PSAT 10 to the PSAT 11. We believe these additions address two key issues. One, currently there is an academic achievement metric for 11th graders who meet college proficiency on the SAT in the spring of 11th grade, but many students won't meet that metric until closer to graduation from high school, which is appropriate given that it measures readiness for college. The addition of PSAT 11 as a proficiency metric would capture those students who are on track toward that college readiness measure, but who will not necessarily be there by the spring of junior year. Additionally, the addition of a growth metric for high schools would be significant, as there is currently a strong emphasis on growth for K-8, but none for 9-12. Adding a growth from PSAT 10 to PSAT 11 metric and awarding points for students who meet or exceed expected growth would honor the great work that is done in 9-12 to help students make progress toward their goals and would align with the growth metrics that are present in K-8. Additionally, I'd like to offer support for the changes suggested by Katie Dulay and Carlota Holder for third grade metrics that will best reflect effective language acquisition process and measurement for multilingual learners. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have Cody.
Good morning. Cody Stipes, C-O-D-Y-S-T-I-P-E-S. Great. I will keep my remarks very short and sweet. I first want to say overall, I have seen and been able to be a part of multiple iterations of seeing where this framework has gone from the great work that is being done at the IDOE, specifically with Ron Sandlin and others. And so overall, I think this is a great model. There's no perfect model. I don't believe in that. I think we are seeing a lot of progress, though, in where this model comes. I do think the 2 points that I would just highlight on, if there were tweaks to it, are what we've heard from actually both the Katies, Katie Dulay and Katie Dorsey here today. I'm a person, if I hear really smart people who are experts in the field have a strong opinion about something, usually it's for a good reason, and both of these individuals are great leaders in their respective foundations, and so I think it is worth just repeating and stamping that. When I think about the third grade iRead requirements there, I would actually be in favor of just removing that piece of the framework overall. If we look at actually the rest of the model, there is no other piece of the model that restricts the points that are given future on for those kids who are approaching mastery based on another individual test. I don't think that a predictor on iRead or their performance on iRead should take away from the years-long worth of work that's being done either with growth or with attendance there. And so I would be in favor of that change to the system, as also was outlined by Katie and her team at Enlace, as well as the remarks that were just made by Katie Dorsey as well about the high school transcript there. But again, overall, thankful for the opportunity to be able to be here today to speak that, and also seeing the progress that's made with this accountability model. And I hope you'll take into consideration those two small changes to it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak but is not already spoken? All right. If no one else would like to speak, then this public hearing will be adjourned. You still have the rest of the day today. If you get home and think of something that you didn't say that you want to submit to us, you can email me. If you want my email, just stop by after the meeting. I'm happy to give it to you. Or still use the chat form and get your comments submitted. All right? Other than that, thank you very much.